Our world begins when we open our eyes for the very first time. A lot has happened before we become conscious, and even though we don't plan to grow old, we eventually do grow old enough to wonder and ask, why are we here? But before we talk about why, let's talk about what. What even are we? On the most fundamental level, we are just a collection of atoms arranged in an intricate manner, allowing us to function and be aware of ourselves and the world around us. Our top priority is to survive, and there are 4 fundamental things we need to do that. Number 1, air. It's invisible and it's everywhere. Number 2, water, coming through our water pipes. Number 3, food, available at nearest grocery stores and restaurants. Number 4, shelter, a place where we usually sleep and call home. If you meet all these 4 needs, consider yourself blessed and be grateful, because a huge number of people out there do not. When you put a bunch of us together in the same place, things can get out of hand. To maintain law and order, we have governments, and in return, we pay taxes to those governments. To pay for our taxes and everything else I talked about, except for air for now, we need money. So we go to work. To get to work or any other place faster than our own 2 feet, we have developed bicycles, cars, planes, and even rockets that can take members of our species to a rock that floats 384,400 kilometers away from Earth's surface on average, aka the moon. Back on Earth, after we do all the surviving and the surviving at the work, we still have time to do the things that are not really necessary for the survival itself, but we do them anyways. We have also cracked the code to the world of zeros and ones and have developed technologies like smartphones, televisions, internet for communication, entertainment, and multiple other purposes, without which modern life is unimaginable. Even though we changed the way we live and the world around us, we still have the same old chemicals in our brains, forming the same raw human emotions in us like happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, disgust, and many more. We form different kinds of relationships with other members of our species, and these emotions influence the way we perceive those relationships and the world around us from our own individual point of view. One of the most amusing emotion or feeling that we have inside us is curiosity. It's the reason you're able to watch this video and probably the reason you are watching this video. Our curiosity has brought us all the way here. And when you look at all the technology and progress that we have made, it's just astounding. I mean, think about it. It just takes 10 seconds to open YouTube and watch videos from all around the world, including this one. The curiosity inside us wants us to find how and why we are here. By studying the wonderful world around us using systematic methodology, in other words science, we have come up with a story. But this story is far from being complete, and we don't even know how much we don't know yet. But on the other side, there is a lot that we do know. Now, science, or more precisely modern science, is a pretty recent invention to understand the complete relationship between the man and the universe and get a bigger perspective on the tale of everything. I want to start with how we used to make sense of the world before we had science. And the best place to start is with the origin stories from all around the world. First, let me give a little context. Humans evolved around 250 to 300,000 years ago. In those days, if a human was hungry, he cannot just search for a nearby restaurant or a grocery store on Google Maps because all of those things don't exist yet. He would look for the food around him, and that is exactly what everyone did back then. They would hunt for animals and gather plants, thus earning the title hunter-gatherers. Well, what if they run out of all the animals and plants in one area? Simple. They move to another area and nothing is going to stop them because private properties, governments, or borders all those things don't exist yet either. So about 74,000 years ago, after barely avoiding an extinction event, a few thousand of our ancestors started migrating all over the world from Africa. Wherever they went, they adapted and screwed up the local ecosystems. Eventually, everybody forgot that they started out from Africa. Different groups across the planet started forming different cultures, traditions, and languages. Now, being a human in this cold and unforgiving world, things can go pretty sad and depressing pretty quickly, but we are unique and found our way around it. Let's say a person makes up a story about something that don't even exist. He can tell another person precisely what that story is, and they can tell their children, and their children can tell their children, and on, with few details getting altered over time. Even when the person who made that story is dead, the story or a version of it can still survive. Now, this ability to create made-up stories and then transmit across generations is something that no other animal possess. When our ancestors would see the world around them, they would make all these stories about sun, moon, sky, animals, plants, and us, thus giving everything a purpose and explanation for their existence and forming belief systems. These stories would travel through generations by oral traditions and more recently through writing, and by recently I mean about 5,000 years ago. I also want to add that those people were not any less smart than we are. Yes, our brains do evolve, but it is a process that takes significant amount of time. We are talking millions of years. Instead, it's more about the amount of sources available to us. If I only had my parents and my tribal chief telling me all I ever wanted to know, I would have most likely believed them. But then how do we know if the modern science is not just a made-up story? Well, there are chances that it actually is, especially the parts where you cannot directly see the evidence for yourself. But when we have multiple trustworthy sources confirming the same thing, we usually believe it. But then again, always do your own research. Before we start with the origin stories, I want you to read this disclaimer. Let's start with Iroquois people's origin story. They are a community of people living in parts of Ontario, Canada, and the state of New York, USA, since 4,000 years ago. In the beginning, there was no world as we know it. Just waters, filled with water animals, and above it a sky island where sky people lived. One day, Chief's daughter gets sick, and her father is unable to find any cure. He is told by a wise man to dig up a tree and put the girl beside it. But the tree falls through the hole along with the girl. As they fall, the water animals down below notice them. Swans swim to save the girl and take her to the great turtle, the master of all animals, who calls a council. He tells everyone that this woman is a sign of good fortune and asks them to get the earth from the roots of the tree that fell from the island. Animals swim to where the tree has fallen and dive one by one to no avail. Finally, an old Todd is able to bring some mud and spit it on the back of the turtle. The earth magically starts to grow until it becomes the world that we know as today. For the next creation story, let's go to the Zulu people, the natives of southern Africa. According to their tradition, at first there was nothing but darkness. There was a seed on earth which grew, and from its reeds came Unkulunkulu, the first ancestor. He started walking across the land and noticed other men and women growing on the reeds. He took them from the reeds and they became first humans, ancestors of all nations. He then saw other life forms on the reed. He picked and put fish in the water, animals on the field, and birds in the sky. He picked a ball of fire and a glowing stone and put them in sky, creating sun and moon. Finally, he picked a chameleon to deliver a message to humans that men must not die, But the chameleon was too slow and Unkulunkulu became impatient. So then he sent another lizard that was faster and reached humans first, carrying the message that men must die. From that day, humans became mortal and death and misfortune entered the world. It is believed that chameleons changed color because of how ashamed they were for not being able to save humanity from the curse of death. For the next story, let's go to the continent of Australia. According to some Aboriginal tribes in Southeast, Yi, a creator goddess, was asleep in dreamtime, a timeless, multidimensional reality, and a whistle woke her up. As she woke up, light fell on the earth. As she walked on the earth, plants began to grow and animals emerged. She breathed life into everything. After that, she left. All seemed well, but one day she noticed pleas from the earth. She came back and found that most of the creatures had no means for movement. They had no legs, no feet, no wings. Kangaroo wanted to jump. Wombat wanted to wiggle on the ground, seal wanted to swim, bat wanted wings, and platypus wanted something of everything. She gave everyone what they wanted and returned back to the sky. Then again one day, she noticed a man and also noticed that he was very unique and shunned by all. So out of compassion, she decided to provide him with a companion. She used the most beautiful flower stalk to create first woman. The man and woman fell in love and wandered away in bliss, and Yi returned to dreamtime. The next story comes from China. This tale originates from Taoist traditions. In the beginning, there was chaos. An egg came into existence in middle of the chaos containing yin and yang, and from it emerged Pangu, a hairy giant with horns on his head. He had great strength and wisdom. Using his giant axe, he separated yin and yang, thus separating earth and sky. Pangu stood between them to keep them separated and keep balance of the universe. Earth, sky, and Pangu between them as a pillar grew every day for 18,000 years until Pangu died. After his death, the sky and earth was separated forever. His skull became the top of the sky. His breath became winds and clouds. His voice became thunder. One eye became the sun, and other became the moon. His body and limbs turned into big mountains. His blood formed rivers. His flesh became fertile soil. His hair became forests. His bones valuable minerals. His sweat rain. Fleas and lice on his body became ancestors of humanity. Thus he succeeded in creating the world and establishing the cosmic order. Next up, let's take a look at the story told by now extinct civilization that used to rule a huge region near modern-day Mexico centuries ago, the Mayans. In the beginning, there was only seas and sky. The gods came together and created mountains and plants. The silence bothered the gods, and they needed someone to be capable of offering them worship, so they created animals. The animals, however, could not speak and offer worship, so the deities were dissatisfied. They decided that those animals were not to leave the forest and their flesh would be eaten by others. Then gods set out to make humans. First, they made humans out of mud. That turned out to be a failure as those humans kept crumbling. Then they decided to use wood instead of mud. Thus, the wooden humans were made. They talked and multiplied, but their hearts and minds were empty, so the gods sent a flood to wipe them all out. The monkeys in the forest are the proof of those wooden humans. Finally, gods molded humans from maize, who possessed the qualities that gods sought for their quest for suitable worshippers. Next up, we have a tale coming all the way from Greece, the Greek origin story. It comes from one of the earliest Greek literary sources, the Theogony. The universe is in chaos, and from chaos emerged Gaia. Gaia gave birth to Uranus. Together, they had 12 children called Titans, 6 sons and 6 daughters, who were the first divine beings. They also had 3 Cyclops sons, which were one-eyed giants, and 3 Hecatoncheires, who were monstrous beings with 50 heads and 100 arms. Uranus, fearing the power of his children, imprisoned Cyclops and Hecatoncheires. This frustrated Gaia. She and her son Cronus made a plan to overthrow Uranus, which they eventually did by castrating him and separating sky and earth forever. Cronus then ascended to the throne himself. Just like his father, he was also paranoid and would eat his offsprings as soon as they were born. His sister/wife was not pleased, so when her 6th child was born, she gave him stone wrapped in clothes to eat instead. The child was raised in secrecy. His name was Zeus. As he grew up, he wanted to overthrow his father just like his father overthrew his father. Zeus gave his father drugged drink, causing him to vomit all of Zeus' siblings and the stone. This led to Titanomachy, a cosmic war which ran for 10 years. On one side, there was Cronus and his siblings, the Titans, and on the other, Zeus and his siblings, the Olympians. The war was eventually won by the Olympians. Zeus became the supreme ruler of cosmos and ascended to the throne at Mount Olympus, with other Olympians ruling alongside him. One of the Titans, Prometheus, did not fight in the war. He was spared imprisonment but was given a task to make man. He made man out of mud and goddess Athena breathed life into it. He stole the fire from the gods and gave it to the man. This infuriated Zeus, and to punish humanity, he created Pandora, the first woman who introduced suffering and misery to the world. Next up, let's go to the subcontinent of India. There are a lot of mythological stories. One of the most popular starts with Lord Vishnu lying in deep state of meditation on a serpent. Out of his navel grows a lotus flower on which the creator, Lord Brahma, sits. Lord Brahma is asked to create the world. At first, he is confused but understands everything when he hears the divine sound of Om. He starts the process of creation and divides the world into 3 parts. The upper world, Svarg or heaven, the middle world, Prithvi or earth, and the lower world, Patal or hell. From his mind, he creates various gods and diverse living entities, including Manu, the ancestor of all humans. The universe created by Lord Brahma undergoes cycles of beginning and ending. An avatar of Vishnu called Lord Shiva the Destroyer marks the end of one cycle and sets stage for another. Last but not least, the origin story that took the center role in the world stage and had huge clashes with science for centuries. It comes from the very first of the 66 books of Bible. It is called the Book of Genesis and is believed to be written by Moses. In the beginning, God created earth and heavens. On first day, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. On the second day, God created heavens. On third day, God created land, seas, and different kinds of plants and trees. On fourth day, he created sun, moon, and stars to decorate the heavens. On fifth day, Lord filled seas below with different life forms and skies above with different birds. On sixth day, God created land animals and gave each of them different features, and finally he made man in his own image from the dust of the ground, and he called him Adam and put him in the Garden of Eden. Adam was alone, so God decided to make him a companion. Using one of his ribs, he created a woman named Eve. God then commanded Adam to make himself at home, eat everything he wants except from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, as it may result in his death. One of the creatures made by God, the clever serpent, suggested Eve to eat from it as it will make them just like God. So she ate it and gave some to Adam. They lost their innocence and hid from the God. In retribution, God cursed the serpent to crawl on his belly, woman to experience pain in childbirth, and man to face hardship and mortality. Then he expelled the couple from the Garden of Eden. Now, after looking at all these stories, just notice the wide variety of concepts explored, thus proving how creative human minds are, and also notice how even though these stories were made thousands of miles and thousands of years apart, they still share a lot of similarities. This sure gives us a beautiful insight that in our quest to find why we are here, we are all in this together, united by this bond called humanity. In the end, there is something I want to say. Before we stumbled upon science as we know it today, we really had answers to everything that even science could not answer. And it didn't really matter if those answers were wrong or right. We believed they were right, so they were right for us. So aren't we more confused now than ever because science makes us doubt our belief systems that we had for thousands of years? Is it possible to become happier by giving up on our ancestors and adopting science that shows no emotions for anybody? Can a person believing that we are just a result of random set of events be truly happier than a person who has his belief systems backed by a divine power?